Hello everyone, welcome back to CSS Learning, and my name is Taser. So like you see on my screen, last week we have learned the flex basic concepts, and then we talk about it like all things about flex, so we use a flex direction. We can change our flex item direction. We can flip it using the a reverse, and also we can wrap our flex item to the next line. So that will be wrap, no wrap using the flex flow. And also we have this justifying content or align content. We can easily distribute our flex item across our a container. And so we have a flex grow and then flex string, so we can create a little bit dynamic a photo gallery. So I will show you in the later. So that's what we have learned last week, guys. So if you missed it, please go back to YouTube channel and then watch it again. And also please support to the channel, subscribe it, like it, share it, and give us a comment. So really appreciate it. Okay, so this week I have prepared a lesson content. So that will be a part 9 CSS learning. So today we're going to talk about the CSS grid and then basic concept. So if we see a grid flex, so we need to structure a grid container as a parent and also grid items as a child in our HTML. So that will be our starting point. And also we need to construct our grid system. So that will be constructing your grid individual cell using the a pixel percentage. And also we have in grid, a CSS, so we have a fraction. So that will be FR unit. So we will talk about it. And let's say you have a repeating pattern that you want to repeat it. So that will be using the repeat CSS property in your CSS. And also you can do the a grid gap, if we remember, we have a gap in our flex as well. So that will be row gap and then column gap. We will talk about it. And the other things are in grid items. So you have a grid container. So that will be included with the picture text. Sometimes we will have a shorter text. Sometimes we have a longer text. So that will be implicit. You need to control. So we'll be using the implicit grid sizing with the min max. And also let's say you have a little bit complex a grid system. You need to control individual grid cells. So the time point we're gonna use it a grid area and also grid row, grid column start, and even we can in a spreadsheet, we can merge it like a 2-3 grid cells. And the same thing, we're gonna use a span to merge it. And also we have a grid template, we can build it, so in different ways, giving a variable names to your grid system. And also we have a justifying content and then align content, same as a flex. We can do the equally distribution, align it. And also that will be alignments in our grid items. And also we can do the nesting our grid after grid. So that will be nesting individual grid inside a sub nesting to our grid. So that will be our lesson content for this week, guys. So what we're gonna do is like I said, I will have a little bit what if we build a small little project for our flex item, because right now it's a little bit it's not really interesting. So what I will do is I will remove the last week CSS flex or the styling here. So I will delete it because I have already prepared for one more photo gallery using the flex. So and also I will go back to my HTML and I will edit one div element here. So to do that, div dot, that will be item, and also I will get it as a 5 class name. If I press tab key, you're gonna have this a div element setup, and also the p will be 5. So you save your grid just like that. And so you won't see anything right now, but save it that way. And then I have already prepared, like I said, in advance, so I will just simply cut it off my a CSS properties, and then I will paste it. So all these are a concept that we have learned from previous tutorials, so I use a flash concept, and also I added a background image. So all these are combined, and then if I save it, so now you can see that a little bit dynamic photo gallery with the like a image background, and also we have a border radius, and also like a little bit thicker border. If I make it like a smaller screen, so that's a flex. I mean, like, so it will automatically like a dynamic photo gallery you can create using the flex grow and shrink. If I have like a larger screen, you're gonna see it like a little bit dynamic photo gallery. So using the flex we can build. So to walk through, I mean, like, what I did is in my flex container, so I declare flex and then I wrap it using the flex wrap, and also like the other thing is even we can do the flex flow, you know. So flex flow, it's not flex wrap, we can do the flex flow, it's the same thing. Flex flow will be wrap. If I say it's the same thing, flex flow and wrap, we can do the same thing. And also in a individual item, I have like this border a little bit thicker, and then I use because I declare flex again for my child element, because I want to like align my 1, 2, 3 all these text to the bottom and then at the center. So to do that, you have to declare flex and then align item, align contents. So make it that way. And also in the individual, we have class that we built with the 1, 2, 3, you know. So in the individual, like a flex container, so what I did is give a background image using the background image. It's based on our previous tutorial. I do the like a background size cover, position to be center, and also flex grow. I give it like a little bit randomly, like 2 will be grow 1, and then 3 grow 1, and then also like a 4 and 5, like a 4 I will not grow, so that's why I gave it like a 0, and also in the 5 I gave a grow as a 1. So once you set it up that way, do that way. So if you pause my video screen, so I will scroll up a little bit, so that will be here just like that. And then you do it that way. Add one more div element also, you need it, so that we have a little pattern here just like that. And then change your any background picture, you know. So now you have done your a little bit dynamic photo gallery, and then it will be like flexible for your smaller screen, grow and shrink, and also larger screen, you're gonna have a little bit pattern that way. Okay, so that will be like applying your knowledge in the flex concept, and then like building your a little bit small project, you know. So and also today, so we're gonna learn the grid theory basic concept, and then we can build like a grid, like a photo gallery, same as that way. Okay, so to get started, so in the HTML, like I said, we need to build it like a grid container and then all the child elements. So to do that, so if you remember, I will like type it a little bit shorthand, start with the div dot, and then I will give grid like a container as a parent. So that will be grid container, and then press tab key. Now you have built a div element with the class name called grid container. So and then the child element will be same concept, div dot. This time I will give as a grid dash item. And then also that, what if we just give like a grid dash 1? So if I save grid 1 and then press tab key, so we're gonna have this div setup, and then grid item, and then name as a grid 1, you know. So text will be, it's the same, like I will give it like a simple setup, like a text will be 1. The next one, same concept, div, and then grid item. I will give item in everywhere because I need to select it as a command, and then individual like a class, so that will be grid dash 2. So if I set up that way, press tab key and then save your grid. Then the next one, so that will be grid, so div dot, and then grid dash, and then item, and we're gonna have it, so that will be dot, and so that will be grid, so that will be dash 3. So if I press tab key, so add your text as a 3, and also the next one, so div dot grid dash item and dot, so grid dash, that will be 4, and then text will be 4. So the next element, so that will be, now you can see that I'm like I keep saving, you know, you're gonna see on my screen too. So that will be 4. And also the next one, sorry, so that will be next one, the div, so that will be here. So I'm gonna build like a div and then dot, so that will be grid item and dot grid dash, and then that will be 5. And so press tab key, and so P, and then that will be 5. And then also save. I think you can press enter too, but let's say like a div dot, and then the next one I will continue with the 6, so that will be grid item, so that's a child common use, and then also I will have individual, so that will be grid dash, and then so 6. So if I say 6, and press tab key, and we're gonna have it, so that will be P, so that will be a 6. So if I do that way, now you're gonna have it like a 1 through 6, you know, you build up in your system. And so make sure the spelling, so grid item and grid item, I think we repeat it here. We forgot to add the like a grid 2. Yeah, we mix it, so that will be P and then 2. If I save it, yeah, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the grid item, grid 2, then make sure that, so grid 6, 5, 4, then 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we have set it up, grid container. So set it up that way in your HTML, and then now you're gonna have this screen in your browser. Okay, back to your style, I mean in CSS. So what we're gonna do is, like I said, I mean like, so grid will start with the, like you have to declare as a grid in your parent container. So to select the parent, so we give a grid dash container, and then I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to say display, and then grid, so that will be starting point. And also if I say grid, and then I mean like, so it's already like in our grid system, but you won't see anything, you know. So what if we give like a little bit background to our like grid item? So to do that, I will select it like all the items, so grid dash, and then item. I'm gonna give it like a background color, so that will be a little bit pink. And then if I say, I mean, even I can like continue with the gap. So we will talk about it like a row and column gap later. So I will give it like a gap as a generic, so that will be 10 pixels. So for now, so if I save it now, you're gonna have it one grid system. We have started, I mean like, so we will talk about it, I mean like everything later, you know. So but now you can see that like it's already in the grid system, and then we have this like I mean like 1 through 6 we build up. Okay, so in grid, I mean like, so we have I mean like different ways to structure our individual grid cell. So that will be using your grid template columns, so that will be based on your column, and also grid templates, that will be row, I mean it's at the bottom, you know. So we have a little bit this like a grid template. I think we have a grid template row here. So based on your columns, and then based on your row, because in spreadsheet, you know, we have like a row that will be going top to bottom. We have a column, so that will be going left and right. So let's say, what if we build based on our column? So to do that like a grid cell in your CSS, so you can simply add the absolute value in your grid, like any temp, I mean like, so the row or column, you know. So just add any value. So let's say, I mean like, we have a dish like I mean like, so percentage, pixel, and then fraction. So I will start with the absolute value so that we can see the difference. So that will be, what if we say 200 pixels in my template columns? So if I save it, so now you're gonna have it like a grid system change to like we have a column that will be like a big enough, I mean like, so that's a 200 pixels, and also I have a row that will be, I mean like 1 through 6. But as I mean like, once you add the one value to your column, you have a one column. If you want it like a one more column, because in the real scenario or real use cases, let's say if you visit to the Amazon, we're gonna have a different picture. We need to structure in grid, or we need to structure in flex. You know, so in the AWS.com, you know, so we have this like I mean all the products page, and then we have this grid system that built in like a 3 grid 6, let's say 3 cuts, you know. So we have so different way to set it up, but we can use a grid system to do that. I mean like, so if you scroll it down, we're gonna have it like 3 cuts, like so in the grid system, and then all the way going down. So if you want it that way, so in our grid system, so for now, so what we need to do is that you can add one more value to your column. So to do that, just like you can edit any value. So but for now, to keep it like a little bit same size, I will add 200 pixels for one more column. So if I save it now, you can see that grid system automatically like in your browser adding like one more column, and also it will continue like generating the next rows. I mean, now we have a little bit shorter rows, that will be one like a two will be like one more column, you know. So now we have 3 rows. So as long as you have a chart element, that's enough. And then like so you continue adding your like a value to your column, so that will be creating additional columns in your grid system. So now you see just like that. So that will be adding as absolute values. So the downside is, if you use like an absolute value, so you can see on my screen, I have a bigger screen, so that will not be fit. And then there's a big gap. And also I have a smaller screen now. The a little bit like white spaces are like a smaller, So now you might be thinking, instead of using the absolute value. So let's say even the error is using the, it's not error, a little bit different. Let's say I want it the third columns for my grid system. I want it a 500 pixel. So let's say if I change 200 to 500, if I save it, now you can see that in smaller screen, it's overflowing, it's overshooting to our parent container. And then for bigger screen, it's shortened. So that's a little bit like a problem with the using the an absolute value. So now you might be thinking, what if we use a percentage, so that if you remember, we can do the 100%, so that to fit it, So let's say if you say 100% for your grid columns, if I save it, that will be fitting 100% for bigger and smaller screen. And then you might think that might be correct. But what if, let's say we have 3 columns that we need to build it up. So I'm going to take 3 columns. So let's say I will start with the 50%, and then the next one will be 50% of my screen. And also I want to continue with the 50% for the third column. So once you save it, so the error will be still the same. It will overshoot it for our smaller screen and also in the larger screen. So 50% is actually, it is calculating the whole screen as a 50%. Because let's say if you remember, we give our the red box as a 1200, and then 50% will be this big, And then also in grid system, it will equally make it 50%. It will not automatically fitting to your the red container for our parent container. If you remember the box model, so it will not fit it. So that will be one more error that you're gonna encounter using the percentage as well. So now we have so the last units will be fractions. So that will be in grid system. You can use a FR unit. So that will be, it stands for a fraction. So if you say a fraction, and then we need a 1, 2, 3 fraction, So if I say 1 fractions, it will be the same as 100%, and then fit your content to your the box, And also it will stretch it until to the full width. And also if I edit, let's say I need it 2, 3 columns, so you just continue adding your value. So it's the same as an absolute or percentage. I can edit one more FR to create one more columns. If I save it, now you're gonna see that. So the FR is adding as long as you're adding so the 1 fraction for your column, so it will equally do the fraction. Maybe let's say you can slice it, So in different ways to say, so it equally slice it as a 1 FR, and then a 1 FR for 2 columns, So now you can see that equally make a fraction for your screen. Then you're gonna have it that way. So let's say you want it one more column for, let's say if we edit one more fraction for the third column. If I save it, so now you can see that the fraction is it will not overshoot it or overflow to our the box, and then it will maintain. So bigger screen, it maintains. So the theory or the concept for fraction is so that if you use a FR unit, so the CSS is saying, so whatever the box have a width and height, and then make it equal slicing. So that will be fraction equal fraction. So we use 1 fraction for each column. So now the the browser is slicing 3 cuts, and then we have equally fitting to our box container. So in the smaller screen, so the FR, the good thing about it is that it will equally keep a fraction, and then it will not overshoot it. So that's why in common, So what we're gonna use, so instead of the like absolute, we're gonna use it like FR units, and also the percentage will not be very accurate, like just now I show you. So the only way to get it like fitting your content in the box is using the fraction or FR unit. So that will be our final goal. And also you want to mix it. So in the so the grid system, you can mix with the FR with the absolute value. So let's say I wanted the first column to be like a 200 pixels, and also I wanted the second and the third column as a fraction. You can do that way as well. If I save it, so now you see on my screen, so the first column will be like a 200 pixel, and then whenever we have so the rest will be equally do the like a fraction or slice it, so there will be two column split to the two fractions. So that's how we can mix it. And also the percentage, you can mix it. So let's say to test it out, so if I say 50% and then I mix it with the 1FR, you can do that. Now you can see keeping FR in your a grid cell, that's maintaining inside your box. It will not overflow. Just like that, you see on my screen. So that will be better to use mixing with the FR units, because once I remove FR, I don't think we're gonna have it the correct way, because it will overflow. So that will be error. So that's why so using the FR will be like a better way to do it. It will be automatically fitted to your box container, and then it will be equally distributed. So that will be better way to do it. Okay, so now I will put it back to because we're gonna do the equal distribution, 3 columns, and then we will build our grid system that way. So to do that, 1FR and then 1FR, and then we have a 1FR, because I want to build a 3 column a grid system, so that will, if I save it now, equally slice and also bigger screen, so it will a little bit bigger slice, and also smaller screen, it will be a smaller slice. If I squeeze it really small, you're gonna have it, that will be, it's not like a flex. It will maintain the fraction, because I gave it 1FR, that's why maintaining the fraction, so we're gonna have it that way. But you might be thinking, so what about we gave it instead of the 1FR, can we give a 2, 3FR? Yes, so you can do that. Let's say for the second column, let's say if I give it a 3FR, so if I save it, now you have a little bit more slice fraction for my second column, because I gave a 3FR, so that's why you can see that. So the second column will be a little bit bigger. But the point is, so you might be thinking in the theory, okay, so now 3FR is this big. I want it a really big for my second column. So you might be thinking, okay, what if we just give it a 1000 FR? So that will not be getting a 1000 slice for your the column distribution, so it's not in theory. So one thing to note, the fraction is it's a concept. The idea is it will slice it the best value for your fraction. But if you really measure it, you want it 1000 slice, you will never get it. Because we have this first column this big, and then so the second column I give 1000 slice or 1000 a fraction, so you will not get it. If you really slice it, so here this big, and then you will not slice it 1000 times. So the idea or the concept is it's a fraction. In your mind, you have to think about, okay, I have a bigger fraction, I will have a bigger size, and then if I have a lesser fraction, I will have a lesser size. That's a theory, not just an absolute value, so you thought it 1000 slice or a 10,000 slice, you will not get it that way. So that's why I will put it back a 1FR, because in the real use cases, I show you, so in the AWS, we're gonna have it a equally distributed, and then we may not need it even it's a bigger fraction, we might not need it. It's you're really building your website for UI UX purpose, so that will be a fraction. So I will put it back 1FR and then 1FR. If I save it, you're gonna get it that way. And also so that's based on our column system. But like I said, at the bottom, we have a row system too. You can do it that way, but for row, it's a little bit different. So let me remove everything from my columns and then back to my row. So what if we use the same value, so start from the absolute value. So that will be building our grid system based on rows. So if I save it now, I mean like a little bit different from our column system, because I give a one value to my row, and then the first row is really like so row will be height, so that will be going top to bottom. So that will be a little bit like a height will be a little bit big, but the rest will be like an absolute value here. I mean, it's a little bit like a block level element, so you have a little bit smaller size. So because if you build your row, the grid system based on your row, you have to define it everything like individually. Now you want it second row like a 200 pixels equally distributed like a equal amount, and then now you have to type it like 6 times. But in real scenario, you will not have it that way. So back to like all the cases, so you're gonna have it unlimited scrolling down. Even in my website, we're gonna have it. Sorry guys, so that will be, I think I have to remove it back and then go live. Okay, so unlimited, you're gonna scroll it down, so the height will never be, you cannot predict it. So you do not know so what elements you're gonna edit, what content you're gonna have it. That's why a little bit tough to predict based on your row system, based on building your grid on your row system. So now the other thing what we can do is if you really want to build it based on your row system, what I can do is declare your row. That will be so 200 pixel, 1 fraction, percentage, whatever, but the other things, if you want it and also the real scenario, we're gonna need a little bit 2-3 rows, the 2-3 columns. So you will base your grid on your row, but you need to add one more grid properties so that you can build a row system. So that will be a grid so auto flow. So now if I say grid auto flow, I have a row, I define it 200 pixel, and then if I use the auto flow as a column, and then if I save it, now you can see that equally distributed as a 2 pixel height, and then we will overflow it to the column. So that's how you can build your a grid system based on your row, so that's the other way to do it. But and also the the real scenario, so what if I want it so 3 column only? So now you're gonna have it a little bit tough things to do it as well. So let's say I give it a 200 pixel and then one more value, and also if I edit so you have to guess it. So 200 pixel is a little bit big, and then that's why you have a 3 column, but I want it a 200 pixel 3 times in my row, so you will not get it. It's a little bit tough to predict. So that's why whenever we build a grid system, we will build our grid on our column system. So that's why if you really want it in the row, so you have to use it a grid auto flow. And then also we have a auto flow, we have a column, we have a row, so that will be, we can do it row, and also we still have it a dance as well. The dance. So yeah, so dance is equally fitted to any space that you have on your browser in your a grid, so that will be dance it, and then it will be a stretch it. But for now, if you really want to build it up, so you have to use it a grid auto flow for your this row system, so that's the only way to do it. And also the downside is you cannot predict, even if you give 3 value, you will not get the 3 columns. That's a little bit tough to predict. So that's why what I will do is I will just remove so I will build my grid system, so we know the comparison. So I will go back to my column, and then I will put it back 1 FR, and then I can predict it. I added 3 values in my column, so I will have 3 columns for my grid system, so I can predict it. So that's a good thing about structuring your grid cell based on your column. So if I save it, now you have because we are using the grid auto flow right now, so I can simply remove my auto flow. So I can delete it, but I will make a comment so that we have a little bit knowledge about grid auto flow as well. If I save it now, you're gonna have it this way. I mean, so I built my like a grid system based on my column. So as long as I add my like a value in my column, so that will be 4 columns. And also if I wanted 5 columns, I can just simply add like a value to my column system. So I add it 5 times, and then I will have a 5 fraction, and also I will have a 5 columns. That's a little bit more predictable, more precise. So that's why we're gonna have it that way. And also you can like notice that I add like a 200 pixel for my row template, and then it's only apply for my the first row. You know, it will not apply to the second row. So now that's a little bit the issue with the column system. So the next row will not apply the equal size, equal height for my row. I mean, if you want it equal height for the next row, 200 pixel, if I added one more value in my row system, so if I save it, now you're gonna have it. But like I said, I mean, we cannot predict it. I mean, so how long we're gonna have it, scrolling down, like I said, you know, you're gonna have it like a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for your grid child. So now that's an issue with the, the other things to talk about it. So that will be like implicit and then explicit. I think we will talk about it later, but for now we will keep it that way. And also I want to back to my lesson content. I want to talk about repeating as well. So let's say if you have a grid system based on column, and then you repeat it like a 1FR 3 times. So in CSS, what we can do is that we can do that a little bit shorthand for this one. So to do that, I can repeat it and then 3 times, and then I can do the 1FR, because it's the same as instead of saying like a 1FR, like an individual declaring, you can do the repeat it 3 times, and then the unit will be 1FR. It will be the same. If I save it, you're gonna have it the same grid system. And also you can do the a little bit even if you want to repeat it 4 times. So what if you want to repeat it 4 times? If I say 4 times 1FR, so you're gonna have it that way. You have 4 columns, and then you will generate it the grid system with the 4 times, you know. So now you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 will be at the top, and the second row will be 5 and 6. So if I have more elements, we're gonna have it more. So and then let's say you have it 2 times, you want to repeat it. So 2 times, that will be 2 column, and then 1FR. If I say it that way, so you're gonna see just like that. So repeat it 2 times, and then so it will be generate your grid system. It's a repeat. You can use it declaring 1FR individually. That will be, let's say, just now, you know, so we can declare it 1FR, like a 1FR, so that way. But instead, so we can use a repeat, so to do that as well, and then I can repeat it that way. But the other things that you might be thinking, can I do that just now in the FR, you know, so we can use a 2, 3 FR, 1000 FR. I can use it in repeat pattern as well. So to do that, I can simply add, let's say, 2FR, and then if I save it, so the thing is if you repeat it as a pair, so repeat it 2 times, and then we have a 1FR and then 2FR. So that's a repeating as a pair. So in my browser, so I have so item 1 will be a little bit 1FR, smaller fraction, and also I have item 2 as a little bit 2FR, bigger fraction, and then it's repeating 2 times. So that's why. And again, it will start back with the 1FR for my item 3, and then item 4 will be 2FR. So it's a repeating the pattern. It's the same thing. 5 and 6 is going to repeat it. So if I have a child element, it's going to repeat it that way. So that's a repeating 2 times, and then as a pair, and then you have a 1FR and then 2FR. That will be as a sequence, you know. So you're going to have it that way. So you can mix it with the value, even not just a fraction, you can mix it with the absolute value as well. If I say 1FR 100 pixel, it's the same thing. It's going to repeat it a little bit so the different value, you can mix it. So you can see that one fraction this big, and then item 2, that's repeating as 100 pixel, and then also bigger screen, you're going to have it that way. So if you want to build your grid system that way, you can repeat it as a pair, and then you can mix it with the absolute value and also the fraction, the percentage, So whatever you want it, so but for now, like for us, so we're gonna keep it back to our 3 columns, and then so we're gonna learn it. So the rest, so to do that, repeat it 3 times, 1 F file. If I save it, you're gonna have it that way. And also now, just now we talk about it like implicit and explicit. So right now, everything you like a CSS is declare in your parent container. That's explicitly you are declaring. So I have repeating like 3 times, 1 FR, equally distributing, like a fraction slicing, and also I have 1 row will be this 200 pixel height. But so that's explicit. But what if like an implicit way I went to declare it? So the implicit way, why we need an implicit way to declare it. Let's say I have a text in my item 3. So go back to your HTML. So I have a longer text. So now it's a little bit like a short text, So if I edit like item 3 and then dash, so I will copy some text from my HTML element. So that will be, we will learn. And then so that will be here. If I copy it, and then go back to your item 3. So I'm going to paste it here. So that will be this text, So when I save it, so now you're going to see a little bit error. That's we need to control, we have an explicit, a width and height, and then the grid system. But we need to think about it like an implicit. That will be inside of our grid cell. So that will be now you can see that the error with the overflowing our text. So to do that, so to control your implicit grid, so we have this grid system called, that will be grid auto flow. So that will be grid auto and then flow. So before we do the grid auto flows, so now we have to so that will not be grid auto flow, right? That will be grid dash auto and then rows or column. Flow is just now at the bottom. We have it you want to flow it to the column, So grid auto rows or grid auto columns, that will be implicitly we need to control our grid cell. So to do that, right now, if you want to fix our content to our grid system, so what I can do is I can declare a minimum content. So if you test it out, it will not get it back. And also if I declare it a maximum content, so that will not get it to our text the text, because our goal is our text to fit our grid cell, so you won't get it. So the only way to implicit cell to control is a min max. So if I use a min max, so what it's saying is so we're gonna have a minimum value and also we will have a maximum value. So minimum value is let's say on my screen, so we want to declare our first row as a 200 pixel. So in implicit way, we can declare it all the grid cell that will be 200 pixel minimum. So I can do that. So in my grid auto rows as an implicit, that will be declaring your individual cell, 200 pixel. And also I can fit my a text or any content, long or short. So to fit it in CSS, we can use auto. So now you are declaring implicit way for your grid cell as a min max 200 pixels for minimum, and then auto to fit it. But right now, if I save it, you won't see any changes. So you can see that the error is still the same, but the difference is all the grid cell, it's making a equal height. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 until 6, so it will be 200 pixel height. But the goal is I want to fit it my text. So because we have a little bit conflicts with my a grid template rows, so I can remove my grid template row. I will comment it out, and then once I've done it, if I save it, now you can see that. So the cells are declared as equal 200 pixel for minimum, and also if I have a longer text, longer content, or a shorter text, shorter content, I will fit it. So let's say if I a little bit text shorter, let's say I delete it a little bit from here, so that will be this, deleting this one. And then if I save it, so it will automatically fit to my content, and then that will be auto. So that's an implicit a grid system that you can use it with the grid auto rows, and then min max, and then all the grid cell 200 pixel, we will maintain it. And also we have this, if you use an auto, so for your like a minimum value. If you use auto, that will be the like a grid system will not be equally like a width and height, you know. So but if you want it the height to be equal for your grid system, as long as you have a grid element, so I'm gonna put it like that will be minimum through 200 pixels, so that you have a little bit grid system that you can build it up that way. So and also your content will fit it, so even you have a longer or shorter, if I have it like a longer text, so it will fit it this high. And also the first row will be equally like it will follow your like the auto, you know, because the grid system is the first row will be this grid system, and then the second row will be like 200 pixel. So that's how we can declare it like implicit and then explicit. Okay, back to our content. So that will be like controlling our content in our grid. So the other thing will be sizing and positioning to our grid, individual grid. So before we do that, I want to bring up like a developer tool. So go to your browser, and then even if I make it larger screen, you're gonna see like a little bit grid system here. Okay, so right click and then go to inspect, and then that will bring up your developer tool here, just like that. If you want it like normally what we're gonna see is that you will see the so the developer tool will snap to your right column, you know, just like that. But if you want it separate screen, so go to this 3 dot if you're using the Firefox, and then like a separate window. So you're gonna have it that way, so that you can see a little bit like a developer tool in the different screen, just like that. Okay, so and then go to your grid tab, the layout tab, and then also go to grid tab here. So if you click it, you're gonna see this like a grid things, you know. And then check mark to your div.grid container, so that will be our grid parent element. And also check it like a display line number, and then check the external line to the top and bottom, so that we can see a little bit grid system and the grid lines in our browser. So now you can see that the grid in our so in CSS, if we build it like a grid in browser, so that's what we're gonna see. So it's already like adding your grid system with the grid lines. So if you see on my screen, so the grid line will start, you have 1 2 3 4 for your grid column, and also grid row, because we have a 2 row only, so that's why your grid row lines numbers are 1 2 3. But and also you can reverse it if you're building reverse order, you know, let's say other reading format from right to left, you can do that. So that will be -1 2 3, start from -4, and also we have a row that will be -1 and 2. So that will be reverse way as well. But for us as an English, that building for 11 right thing, you know. So we're gonna start with the column line will be 1 2 3 4, and also the gap will not you might be thinking gap has 2 lines. So in the grid system, gap will be line as well. You will not think it 2 lines, because like you see on my screen, that will be only 3, only 2, so the gap is just a gap, you know. So and also we're going to have it line for column 1 2 3 4. We have a row line numbers that will be 1 2 3. So that's a CSS grid system in our browser. So now so if you want to control individual grid cell, we need to start from the grid lines. So that's important to know the grid line as well. So back to my style, what we're gonna do is let's say, so if I want it, let's say now you see that I have a little bit text that for my item 3. So what if I wanted item 3 to be so let's say I want to merge it 3 columns for only item 3, you know. So to do that, I need to start with the grid line. So let's say I have this grid line 1 2 3 4. If I give all the line values to my item 3, that will merge it only for item 3. So to do that, go to your item 3. So that will be individual grid controls. So you're gonna select it, your grid dash 3, because we give a class item 3 that way, and then select it. And then now, so to select your line number in your CSS, so we have this grid a column start, grid row start, so that will be grid column, and then start, and then I'm gonna start my so grid column line for item 3 because I want it really a little bit bigger, so the cell, so I want it, so I will start from line number 1 for my column, and also I will create so that will be column, and then end it. So I want to end it my column for my grid item 3, so end it to 4 because as you see on my screen, I want to make it all the way like a margin to until line number 4, because now it's item 3 start from line number 3 and then end in 4, but I want it all the way so make it margin all the way to the top, so that will be start from line number 1 and then end in line number 4. So once you do that, so if I save it, so now you're gonna save it. So item 3 will start from line number column line number 1 and then end in column line number 4. So now it has a little bit bigger cell so fit into our text as well. So if you want to control it, so that's why we're gonna be using the line number to control our grid item serve just like that. And also now if you want it, okay, let's say that's a text and then I want to change my item 3 position. So now we are making our merging our item 3 3 cells, but I want to change position as well, so not just changing the size, Okay, so to change the position, I want to put it at the top for my item 3. So to do that, so grid dash, and then that will be row, because so whenever you change a position to the top, that will be like a row. If you went to left and right, that will be like a column. So in the grid system, so I want to change my row start, so that will be line number 1 because I want to push it item 3 to the top. So that will be start from line number 1 and then grid row, and then I'm gonna edit, so grid dash and then row dash end. So I will edit so I want to end it even I don't have to put it end, but I can do that way too. So that will be line number 2. So I will start row line number 1 and then I will end it line number 2 so that the item 3 will push to the top. So if I save it, bang, now you're gonna see it that way. So item 3 push to the top, and then I have this grid system built up that way. So now you can change your grid order, your grid size, and then grid position, and then using the grid line that way. And also in grid so the column start, column end, we have a little bit shorthand for it too. So instead of the individually declaring, so what I can do is I can a little bit second shorthand, that will be, you can just say a grid column. So that will be, when you say grid column, it's a shorthand for grid column start and grid column end. So it's the same thing. I can do the same way. Let's say so what if we just push it to the bottom? So to do that, I want to start column, so that will be margin cell. So I will keep it the same, start from line 1, and then so to make a shorthand, so you need to use a forward slash. So that's saying first value will be column start, and then the second value will be column end, so the end value will be 4. So if I save it, so it's the same thing, so that will be merging your cell. And also, like I said, I want to push it all the way down, so that will be grid a row, so that will be grid row, shorthand for our row start and row end, so if I save grid row, and then where I want to start, so I want to row start at the bottom, so that will be here, you see on my screen, so that will be line number 3. So if I save line number 3, so and then 3 forward slash, and then I want to end it, so line number 4. So if I say line number 4, if I do it that way, if I save it, then you're gonna see it all the way, push it down for my item 3. So that's how you can use a little bit shorthand for our grid row start and row end. And also the other shorthand will be one more shorthand, so that will be a grid area. So so now you have a little bit row and column. You can do the shorthand for separate row and column, but now you can combine it everything in grid area. So grid area is a shorthand for grid column start and end, and also grid row start and end. So to do that, like I said, it will be start from grid row, but for the grid area shorthand, it will start from a row and column, and then row and column. So to do that, I want to start it. What if we push it to the middle? So I want to start it my grid item 3, start from row number 2, and then like you see on my screen, row number 2 here. So, and also I want to start my column number, because in shorthand for grid area is a column start. So that will be start from column number 1. And also I want to end it row end. So row end, I want to end it in the column number 3, because I want to push it to the center. So that will be end will be line number 3. And also I want to end my column, so line number 4, because I want to merge it all the way to the end cell, so that will be 3 columns. So if I say line number 4, that will push to the middle. So that's how we can control our grid individual cells using the line number in our grid system. Okay, so back to my content. So that will be using your grid roster, grid row end, grid area, and also span. So I can do the span if you remember, so in our Excel sheet, you can merge it to 3 cells in Excel. It's the same thing. I can span it in my a CSS too. So to do that, so let's say what if so I want to span it. So let's say this item number 6, to item 6 to span it all the way to the end. So that will be until here. So to do that, I can simply say that. So select your item number 6. So that will be go to your dot grid and then dash, and then that will be 6. So because we need to select individual class, and then now I'm gonna say, so that will be a grid column, and then I want to start from line number 2, because 6 is here, so that will be column line number 2 here, and then I want to span it line number 4. So to do that, using the span will be start with line number 2, and then I want to span it to line number 4. So to do that, it's not like an ending to the line number 4. If you want to use a span, so that will be, if I save it, then now your item 4 will be merge it. But right now you can see that span is a little bit complex. You can see here. So start from column line number 1, and then I think we have to span it only 2 span. So if I save it, yeah, so that will be a span will be, it's not like a line number, span will be based on your grid system. That's a 3 column grid. So that's why you want it 2 column to span it, merge it. So if you say for item 6, so you are spanning 2 column, and then you're gonna have it, this 2 cell will be merged for item number 6, and then you start from a column number here. So that's how we can use a span for in our grid system. Okay, so that will be learning about individual cell, a grid column start, grid area, and then span. Okay, the other thing will be naming your grid system with a variable. I think that's also good to learn. So that we will have a little bit comparison. Okay, so even you want it we can build it one more so the grid cell, if you want it. But for us, I think for teaching purpose, so what if we just keep it everything I can comment it out, because let's say if I try to comment it out, so that will be item 5 grid container here. So let's say if I comment it, so I think we have to I think what if we just keep it as commenting, so that will be below level comment. So we have to delete everything. So guys, so that will be, what if we just keep it aside, so I will cut it all the grid system from here, because I want to show you building your grid using the variable name. So what I will do is I will cut it all my the things that we built here. Even if you want it, you can build it one more grid container in your HTML. But for us, for time purpose, I will cut it out, and then you can keep it here. So I will delete everything here. If I paste it, yeah, you're gonna have it that way. So I will put it aside for the previous a grid system, and then now I think I will if I save it, so you're gonna have it a grid just like that here. So now, so the grid a system, a building based on specific name or variable name. So to do that, it's the same method. So what we're gonna start with, so we're gonna declare our parent container. So that will be grid. That will be grid dash container, and then I'm gonna have it grid container, and so that will be I think so that will be grid. So that will be display grid. So even I can copy, so, but what if, yeah, keep it that way. So grid and then dash container, and we're going to have it display grid. So display and then grid. If I save that way, and so I will remove it, the text, because we are learning the different theory and concepts. So I will remove it because we know that what is implicit and then fitting our content. So I will keep it as 3 only here. So because this time we're going to build it like a different way for our grid system. So you just declare grid in your parent container, display grid. And what we're going to have is this time in the grid template row. So grid dash and template row, so grid template column. So we will define it. It's the same like repeating, and also that will be 3 times and 1 FR. And also to give a variable name. So what I will do is gap also we can do the same thing. Even I can copy gap will be 10 pixels. And if I save it, and also you're going to have it that way. And also a little bit background, we need it so that we can see. So that will be grid dash and then item, and then I will put it the background color, and then that will be same thing, that will be pink, and then save it. Excuse me guys, so that will be our a grid system to get started. And also, like I said, now we are giving a variable name for our grid system, and also a different way to set it up. So to do that, you have to type it grid dash template area. So that will be on your parent container. We have a different properties. We will apply to our child element. We will apply to our parent elements, So if variable name, so grid template areas, that will be in your grid container. Now you can start giving a name for your, it's not none, So now you can start giving a name for your grid system. So I will start with since we are building 1, 2, 3, So I will start with the 1 because I want to keep it the same pattern here. So and also don't forget to edit a double quote. So to do that, start with your double quote and then just give any name 1, or sometimes you can give it a header. So it's depends on your naming system, So header and then footer. So any name you can give it, but for us, so I will continue with the 1, 2, 3, So that will be, I will start with the 1, and then also I want to remain it the same grid system like you see on my screen. If you want to do it that way, I can keep it continue with the 2, and also I can give it a 3, and so the next line will be, I can give it with the double quote, and then 4, and so that will be 5, and the other one will be 6. So if I say it that way, so you have already given a little variable name for your grid system in the grid template area. But the other thing, what you need to do is we need to give that variable in our individual grid cell. So that will be selecting your grid item 1 to 6. So that will be grid dash, and then I will simply grid dash and then 1. So I'm gonna say that will be, you're giving so to give a variable name, you have to give we can do that a grid column, grid row, if you remember line number, but it's the same thing using the grid area. So you have to use a individual cell as a grid area, and then you can give your variable name here. So for grid item 1, I put my variable name as a 1, so that's why I'm going to give it 1 here. If you give it, let's say in your variable, if you do that, let's say header, so you have to use it the same variable name in your grid system. So that will be in your grid area for item 1 header, you have to use it the same name. So for us, so I will change it back, so that will be 1, and then keep it grid name as a 1. And also the second variable, so that will be grid dash and then 2, and then I'm going to give it, so that will be grid area, so grid area, so that will be 2, because we give a variable name for item 2, just like that. We want to build it for instance, the same a structure we see on our screen. So later we will change it. I will show you how to change it back to. So now the dot grid, and then that will be dash and then 3, so that will be our variable name. So that will be, you have to select it grid area and then use grid area properties, and then give that will be 3. So, and also if I go back, let's say, and then dot grid, if I save it dash and then 3, and then that will be grid area, so dash and then area, so that will be this will be, sorry, that will be 4 guys, so it has to be like 4 and then grid area name, so that will be 4. So if I say continue and then so selecting all the grid individual cells, so that will be 5, and also grid area, so area will be, so that will be 5. And then also the last one will be dot grid and then area, so area will be, let's say, sorry, so that will be selecting and then so that will be grid area and then dash area, so that will be I think that will be, sorry, so instead of a grid area, so there will be grid 6 and then grid area, so that will be 6. So we gave individual name as a variable 1, 2, 3, and then the structure we like in the grid template area we structure it that way. So and also make sure that using the same variable in individual cell in the grid area properties, you know, it's very important. So if you did that way, so if you save it, now you're gonna see the same pattern, the same grid system in your browser. But the good thing about like naming system is let's say if you want it like so what if we change our grid system in the like a different way? So let me set it up in the different way. So once I change my like in the parent container in the template area, you know, so instead of using the same parent, so what if we just use it like I will do that 1 and then I will do it like 1 here, so that will be 1, 1, 1. So it's a little bit same as giving like values in your template column, you know. It's if I say 1, 1, 1, so that will be in my like wherever I use a variable name 1 here, so that will be 1, 1, 1. So that's meaning 3 columns. I have a 1 fraction for 3 columns, but my item 1 will use the whole 3 columns. So it's like using the whole block. So if I save it, you're gonna see like using the whole block for my item 1 if I change my like a variable structure just like that. I mean, so it's the same thing. I will do it. So the good thing about we will like discover, you know, so that will be item 2. I want to give it like the whole row for my item 2. You just rename it. I mean, like, so it's like restructure it, rename it just like that in your template area. And also I will continue with the like item 3 and then 3 and 3. So that will be like placing your grid item like the whole row. So continue with the, so that will be, I think that will go better. So 4, so that will be 4 and so 4 and 4. So if I say that way, and also continue with the 5 and then 5 and 5. You're giving individual like a grid cell for the whole row, and then like continue with the 6. So because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 and 6. So if I save it that way, now you're gonna save. If you remember, so we can do the individual cell, like taking the whole place, the whole column for our grid system. But now you might be thinking that's a simple way to do it. It's not much like we might not need to learn the variable grid system, you know. But actually, like the good thing about variables, now you might be thinking, okay, item 1 for grid, I want to like change it like if you're not using the grid line, you know, I want to merge it, I want to combine it all the way to the bottom and for item number 1. So to do that, I mean, like, so you can just simply change your variable, like in the grid template area here. So once you set it up with the variable name, so the good thing about like a naming is you can go back to your template area. You can just like so rename it or restructure it. So instead of the 1, 1, 1 for my item number 1, now I'm gonna change it like a 1, 2, 2. So 1, 2, 2, what you're saying is 1 will be 1 column, and then 2, 2 will be 2 column here. So, and then also the bottom one, like I said, I want to merge it down to my column to row number 2, you know. So to do that, you just rename it for your a 2 to 1. So like you see on my screen, you are structuring 1 to be in the first row, 1, 2, 2. So that will be 1, and then row 2, item 2 will be here, 2, 2, and then also the second row, I merge it down, I rename it as a 1, so that will be 1 will be merged here. So once you rename that way, if I save it, now you can see that So the one item is a margin for item number 2. Now you can see that a little bit good, like a margin to the bottom. So that's how we can set it up. And then also same thing, if you merge it all the way down for item number 3, so I can just simply rename it here. I will do that 1. And also if I keep it like a 3, and then if I say it like a 3 over here, and also I just rename it, restructure it 1 all the way bottom. So let's say until like a 4, so row number 4. If I save it, now you can see that like so it's easy to set it up. Instead of the going to your right click and then look for your grid line number, and then you have to type it like a grid column, and then so it's a little bit taking time, but it's a different way to set it up. You can merge it your grid cell easily using the a naming system. That's a little bit different way to set it up. So if I go back to my a grid cell, so now you can see that the naming system also we can build it that way. So now for item 1, if I went it like a margin all the way down, so I can easily change my name 5 to 1. So that's once you save it, so that's a naming system in our grid. So you can easily merge it down or easily merge it to the 11, right? Let's say now we have this a 4 and 5. You want to merge it, you can do that. So let's say I have this 4 and 5 to merge it equally merge it for, it's not like a small little thing. So if you want to merge it, go to your grid template area. So let's say I want it 4, I want to merge it down, so change your name 4, and then so at the top change your name to 5. So once you change your name and then when you save it, now you're gonna have it a little bit margin that way. You're gonna have it a little bit a little bit dynamic grid system that you can build it that way. So that's the good thing about the naming system in your grid. So that's a different way to build it up. Using the grid template area, and also make sure that you use the same variable name in your individual grid cell. That's different from the using the grid lines, so you don't want to calculate your column line numbers and also row line number if you do not want it. So what you need to do is that you have to build in your naming system that way, like you see on my screen. So that will be using the grid naming system. Okay, so the other thing will be back to content. I think so that will be naming system. I think I will continue with the so aligning things, so let's say now you want it a little bit height to be so you want to define it a height much more giving your individual grid cell height, so you can do that. So that will be great. So if you remember, that will be great auto row, because if you want it implicit, you want to define your content, so that will be min max, and then we can use it min max for auto row, and then I want to give it minimum will be 200 pixels. So if I have no content, that will be minimum 200. If I have a content, I want to fit it as an auto. So if I save it, now you have a grid system set it up that way. It's a really big for now. What if we change it to 100 pixel? So now you can see that a little bit a random a grid system that you set up using the naming system. And also, like I said, you can build it in a different way as well. So now back to alignment content. So that will be justifying content. So if I say justifying content, so what we're gonna have is we have this so same as a flex container, you can do that. So let's say if I want it a 1, 2, 3 all the text to the center, so in your a grid system, you can easily go to your individual a cell, or I can do that so in the item, so that will be selecting your child element, so dot item, and also if I say it, so that will be dot grid items dash, and then grid item. If I say okay, so I want to center all my text. Let's say so we have a line item, and also we have a line content. So that will be a little bit play around, guys. so, and also we have a justify a content, and also we have a justify item. So that's it's up to you. And also we have a self alignment too. So I will give you a little homework to do that. That's a easy way to do it, guys. So a little bit research thing. So let's start with the align item. So let's say I want to move it up and down. So that will be align items and align content. Let's say I want to put it to the middle. So that will be center. If I say center, if I save it, so that will be grid item, and then so it should be like going down. So in item you won't get it. So in align content, if I say center, so that will be going down. I mean, so that will be up and down, because we did not, I think we have to declare in the parent container too. So we can use it, your justify alignment in the child, in the parent as well. So for us, like, a different grid system, so you want to align it on your parent container, you need to give weight and height. So if you want it, like, you have to declare weight and height in your parent container. But for us, for time purpose, we also have, so the lesson in our flex container as well. You might want to go back and check it. So that will be, if you want it item, so one, like a text to the center, so that will be align content to the center. So you want it left and right, so that will be like justify. So you want to go left and right, that will be center. If I say it, so that will be like a left and right. But if you do not have changes in your content, you go to justify item, you can center it. So if I save it, yeah, it will go center. But so that will be align item is conflict, or if I delete it, so justify item. So start with one by one, so sometimes there's a little conflict. So justify content, and also maybe that will be justify item. So if I say center, if I save it, so that will be, I think we need to align item, justify item, or justifying content. So to test it out, I think justifying content will be that one. So if we say center, I think it should be going to the center. So that will be align item. So what if we test it with the, it should go to the center, guys. So that will be justify item, so to the center. If I save it, so that will be, I think you have to go back to your parent. Let me test it out. So if I say justify item in, I think maybe because of the grid system, maybe. So if I say, yeah, so the structure that we built in your grid system, also it makes a little different. So if you declare justify item in your container, so because we use a naming system to do that, so that's why we have a little bit that way. So I think there's a way to do the justify align item. You can do that. Maybe we might need to declare a display a grid. So if I declare a display grid, so you can do that. Yeah, so the thing is that you need to declare a display grid in your child element, because you need the child element, because it's a grid after grid, so you have to declare it that way. Okay, that will be grid system. And also alignment, so just now is we are mixing the display grid. So that will be using align content, align item. And also if you want it to the top, so that will be going up and down, will be alignment. So to do that, let's say align, so that will be align content. If I want it to the top, that will be baseline. If I save it, so that will go to the top or the text. And also if you want it at the bottom, so I can use align content. So just play around, guys. So you can play around with the an end. If I use an end, so that will be stick to the bottom. So that's how you can use alignment in your grid system. And also if you want it a left and right, so that will be justified. Let's say if I want it a bottom left corner, so justify item. So I think we have to select it. That will be, I think, from a start. So we have a start too, so that will be start. If I save it, yeah, so that will be stick to the left corner. And also if I do it an end, so that will be justify. So that will be item, or even I can do the content, I believe. So that will be, if I say end, so if I save it, yeah, so that will be going to the end. So that's how you can play around with the alignment in your grid system. But make sure that you declare for your grid child. And also you can use it on your parent container too. That will be a little bit homework. So just play around. So if I save it that way, but for us, we will keep it at the center, so to do that. So I think I will remove it, everything. So it's a simple test it out. So that will be justify content. That will be center. If I save it, and also I want it like up and down, so that will be alignment. So align content, and I want it center. If I save it, yeah, everything go to the center. So I have to declare display grid as well. So that will be alignment. So back to my content. So nesting grid. Nesting grids are just simply you are adding more grid to your item. So let's say I have a one item. I want to edit like a grid. So nesting. So to do that, go to your grid one in your HTML1. Simply, you can just edit like a div element here. So that will be one div, and then also one more div. So you can give it like a class name if you want it. So that will be adding your two grid here. So what if we just give it like a little bit like so that we can see coloring. So to do that, I will add like a sub div to my one like a div element. So to do that div, and then whatever you guys say like so that will be one dash item, and also dot. So that will be a child one. So that we have a little bit child dash and then one. So if I press tab key, so that will be like a div set it up for my like a one. So we're gonna nest it. So the same thing. So div dot and then one dash item, and then I'm gonna do that like a child. So that will be dash and then two. So it's a little bit like to test it up. So if I save it, so now you have already set up as a sub nesting the grid. So simply you go to your like maybe at the bottom. So you can do that, and then so selected your dot. So that will be like a grid one. So you have to declare it. Actually, we have already declared in our grid one. So grid dash and then one. Select your one. Like it's an item one, and then so you're gonna display and then grid. So that's a nesting like a grid after grid, and then you will have like a little bit gap. So do that. So that will be 10 pixels, and also save it. Go to your sub nesting grid. So that will, I gave it like a dot grid. So that will be dot one dash and then item. And then if I do that, so that will be background color. So that will be a background color, and then pink. So if I save it, and then now you're gonna have it. So pink is the same. I think what if we just give it like a yellow? So that will be yellow. If I save it, so that will be, I think so, the background one dash item. So I give it like a one dash item, and also grid one, and then one that should have a background color. So what if we just give it a little bit like so that will be, and also give it like dash one dash item yellow, and then declare grid, display grid. We need it like a different like a grid template column. So maybe so to test it out, grid template column, and then we're gonna have it repeated, and then 2 times, and then one FR. So if I say 2 times and then one FR, if I save it, so it's already in the grid system, just that we're not seeing the background. Then also, what if we just give a little bit weight and height? So I think we need a weight and height too. So that will be grid auto. That will be auto row. So grid auto row. So min max, and then I can use it again. So that will be like grid auto row min, then max. So that will be 100 pixel. And if I say auto, yeah, so now we have to give a little bit weight and height to your sub nesting grid, so that's important to do that, and then give it that way, and then now you are nesting the grid after grid. So now you can do that little padding for your like a child. So that will be padding, and then 10 pixel. So if I save it, now you can see that. So one item should be padding should be in the like grid child. So go back to your grid child, and then parent. So sorry, that will be and paste it, and then if I save it, yeah. So now you can see that a little bit like a nest in your grid. As long as you edit like a items, let's say if I edit more like a sub nesting div to my grid, so we're gonna have it. If I say now you're gonna have nesting, so you can easily change it like it's the same like a method that now you can continue like using your grid system. That will be child 4. So if I save it now, you're gonna have it that way. And also do not forget that the P also like in the grid system, because it's if you declare in like a grid item as a grid, so that's why we're gonna have it like like nesting grid after grid, just like that. Now you can see just like that. In like that way, so you have to do it that way. Okay, so that will be bring up our lesson content complete. And then, so I think I will stop my tutorial. It's taking too long, and also, but I believe like you will have a little bit something to take away from this tutorial. And also, if you do so, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on notification, and also I hope to see you in next tutorial.